A pleasant good morning to everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Yours truly, Coles Brown. Guest menu today, our very special guest, Jim Kleinpeter. He covers Southern University. He's a contributing writer for The Advocate. He'll join us. Also, I simply call them the panel. They will join us very shortly. Here's what's trending on the Coles Brown Show. We'll give you a Southern University fall camp update. That's topic number one. And then Summer Olympic Games and a quick short story. And then I won't get into too much of it a little bit later. But this morning I was woke up to break dancing in the Olympics. Unbelievable. We'll kind of get into that as well. That's what's trending on the Coles Brown Show. Now, we'll introduce the panel. Charles Edmond in a glowful white there with a purple background. Vann Pettaway and Wheeler Brown. Gentlemen, good afternoon to Wheeler. Good morning to Charles. Good morning to Coach Pettaway. How is everyone doing?
Doing fine.
All right.
Yeah, we're not going to give a temperature update because we know it's summertime. It's hot. But if I could be in Baltimore just for a weekend, I would be very happy. Get a little bit of cooler weather. But other than that, we'll go with number two first on what's trending. Then we'll get into Southern University fall camp update. I woke up this morning and had it on the Olympic channel. And I'm looking at breakdancing. Now, I immediately thought about my colleague, A.D. Drew, because in our group text messages, we talked about what we were looking forward to as far as the Olympic Games. A.D. Drew said breakdancing. And so I didn't think about that until this morning. And so I had to make some notes. They have a DJ, they have judges, and you judge on your dancing ability, energy, playing to the crowds. Adrian says horrible break dancing. Hey, come on, Adrian. Don't knock it until you try. But the athletic ability and then the ability to break dance. Now, we know who are the originators of break dancing. Kind of started in kind of the Bronx. But you know when I mean the originators, it's people that look like us on this panel. But I was kind of surprised. I was like, where are we in the breakdancing? And lo and behold, about 30 minutes ago, I did see a brother from America breakdancing. And by the way, he won his competition. Guys, where have we come? Breakdancing in the Olympics? Unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, you better enjoy it because I read an article this morning where it said it will not be in the 28 Olympics. They're not bringing that mess to Los Angeles. So
why not?
You better enjoy it now.
Oh man!
And then they had the women's final last night, and then the men they're doing their breakdance thing this morning.
Well, either way, Carlos, you know we're not going to take this line down, right?
and you know what? It was well attended from what I could see, and the crowd looked like it was young people, middle-aged like myself, and I saw a few older people. But Coach Pettaway, I'm shocked. Why didn't I bring it back in 2028? I mean,
not very good.
Yeah,
not very good.
No.
From who? From who?
It just doesn't seem. There's just something off about it to me. I mean, breakdancing was something that I grew up watching. I would rather them do away with it. And like I was just going to mention what Coach Pettaway mentioned. I just read an article like 2 hours ago. There's like 5 sports that they're going to do away with for the next Olympics in LA.
When did it become a sport? That's what I want to know. When did it become a sport?
Well, Melanie, our producer, says, I agree, Charles. Isaiah Karen say men are better, but thumb downs overall. My goodness. Some of us, I guess we're set in our ways, set in our ways. ADU say it was not the breakdancer we originated with and watched growing up. Well,
Yeah.
it looks different. If you get my,
and I think that's what Charles was saying. It's just not. It's not the same.
No,
it's not the same. It's not what they did in the Bronx. It's not what was in the culture back in the day.
mm-hmm.
So they're not doing it the same way. And
go back and look at the YouTube videos from the 70s and 80s.
They said creativity. There's not too much. You didn't see too much creativity with the individual, the ladies last night. Now I didn't have a chance to look at much of the men. I only looked at that for maybe a minute or so. But it's just not. It's not what was in the Bronx. They're doing it a different way.
No.
Well, I think about Dr. Isaac Griggs, God rest his soul, often imitated but never duplicated.
Right.
The original. Well, I tried to give it a chance. Hey, I watched it. I didn't try to have a pointed view about it just to see. I was just shocked that it was in the Olympics, but it seems like in the chat room and the panel, they say thumbs down.
It ain't real cardboard. It ain't real.
Yeah. And then in the Olympics itself, Carlos, is some people are saying that it's the greatest ever. I don't see it that way. I think it's a good Olympics overall, but I don't think it's the best ever. And I know that in 28, I think the United States will show the world how Olympics is supposed to be ran. And I'm looking forward to it coming to LA.
Yeah.
Well,
but we've had there've been some great games. The basketball, both men and women play in France. Now that, to me, that's going to be tough because they got the home court advantage. They got the home crowd. Everybody's going to be against the United States in both of these games. But I'm just proud of our Olympians because when you look at total medals, we're still leading that count. And then when it comes to the gold, China, they put all their marbles in the diving, and they're making all of their goals in the pool, and it's putting a cramp on us because we have missed out on some. Like a lot of people thought our men's volleyball team would win gold. I thought we would do better on the track with a couple more goals. So we have missed a few, but I think at the end of the day, we'll still come out on top in the gold race because I don't think China's got too many people left. If there's no more swimming events, I think we'll have an opportunity to win all the gold, have the most goals rather.
Charles, I got U.S. men team. Although France is the underdog, I got the USA men +10. +10. Take out the home crowd. Coach Pettaway.
Now I ain't gonna go up. I ain't gonna go +10 now because we play we so inconsistent, man. We're not. We're not. We're just not that dominant team. And then a lot of people are complaining, saying that the scores are too close. Well, you got to look at it. International basketball has taken off. You got more. You look at the team that they're going to be playing. They got 6 or 7 NBA or former NBA players on that squad. Back in the day, in the 90s, you didn't even see that. Man, in some of those games back in the day, they were playing against people where basketball wasn't even their full-time job. These people had other jobs and then would just come together to form a team. Then they were going up against our NBA players. Well, since that time, basketball has gone global. The NBA wanted it to be global. It is now a global game. You look at some of the best centers in the league, in the world right now. They're not from the United States. They're foreigners.
Yep.
And so the game has expanded to the point where we're not going to be the most dominant team on the floor anymore. And if they think it's bad now, you wait a couple more years now. When them young boys from France and Canada, when they mature and get a little more experience, it's going to make it even tougher on the United States and other teams around the world because it's a global game now. You got NBA Africa. You got all these different initiatives that they put out to help expand the game. And now it's coming back to get them. It's coming back to get them. Yes, we have developed the game of basketball, but it's no longer just the United States. It's all over the world. And it's good for the game now. But for us as fans, we don't understand it.
Second unit will win the game against France. Trust me, it brings in the energy. I'm still going with the USA. Yeah, it'll be tough, but I like them, Charles and Wheeler. I like, and everything that Coach Pettaway said, I agree with it. It is global. You look at South Sudan, they did well. France, and you have a lot of NBA players that are just going back and playing for their home teams. But I'm confident. The United States gets to go on both the men's and the women's side.
Yeah, especially the women now. Our women are playing they're playing the game of basketball the way it's supposed to be played. Do you understand that Charles, do you see how many assists they get in the game? I think I heard a report somewhere where 85% of their baskets come from an assist.
Yeah.
That's them sharing the basketball, sharing the rock.
Distributing.
And then on the men's side, if you didn't have the old heads, man, we'd be in a deficit right now. Between LeBron, KD, I'm serious. The old heads are the ones that's carrying our Olympic team right now. But that's just basketball has just gotten to the point now where you're not gonna have that dominant team in the Olympics anymore.
I mean, we're still really, really good. We still have the greatest players in the world on our team, but the rest of the world is catching up to us.
Yep.
I mean, that roster that we have, I mean, I would say you could put Jaylen Brown on that team instead of Jason Tatum, but we can debate that. But the best collection of American players is on our roster, and still it's a struggle. You know, some would say the gold medal match was the other day against Serbia. That was a classic. That was an instant classic, and yet we found a way to win that game. And you talk about a true road game playing France for the gold medal, it doesn't get any better than that. I'm looking forward to it.
I guess I would question, guys, if we really have enough time to practice that sort of thing. Just seems like, you know, the whole team was put together in a rush. You know, not a lot of, practicing going on, not a lot of opportunities to gel. I mean, they play a couple of exhibition games, and, then you overseas and it's real and it's live, and, just seems like it's just not enough time compared to years past. So I kind of question whether or not, we really had enough time to gel and really had enough time to formulate a quote unquote team in every way, shape, or form. So, I mean,
that's a valid point. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it's true. And that's one of the things that is a drawback because you don't have that long period of time to practice and get those guys together. Because when you look at it, by the time they finish with their season and stuff, you don't have a lot of time for those guys to come together. I think they practiced less than a month and they had to play. In fact, I think it was 2 weeks that they were together, and then they're trying to play an exhibition game where, even on the women's side, they didn't look that good because they didn't have a chance to develop their chemistry. And then when I think one of the things that helped USA basketball is when they came up with a president that would help pick the team. I think that has really helped us because now they go out and they don't necessarily pick the best players. They pick the players that can blend in with others, because you can have a group of all NBA players on the floor, but it'll be just like an all-star game. They're not used to playing with each other. They're not used to giving up the basketball. In other words, their egos don't give them enough time to make that adjustment. And so they have to look at people not only who have the talent, but who have the willingness to set their egos down and allow the team to be first. And that's what you see. And that's why a lot of times the games look like it's just an all-star game, because they don't have that continuity. They have not played together enough.
And you know, and I bring up the point because you see the European influence. That's the way I term it in the NBA. Someone just said in the chat room, guard play, the four play, but the center position is different. They mentioned a point center, but if you look at the European style, their bigs are not the traditional bigs that you've seen growing up. They play out on the perimeter. They have guard skills for big. Right. But the interesting thing is, and I still don't think Embiid is 100% healthy. But I go back to that point when it goes down to in that paint and that toughness. And that's why I think them two Bam Adebayo's play. He's a 6'10", point forward, whatever you want to call him. He can get out, he could defend. And now he's kind of developing his shot. But I think in the center position, if Embiid was 100% healthy, you can go in and look. Some of those European teams, they can't handle him down in the post if he was healthy. Now you got the big kid, 7'5" from France. You got Rudy Gobert. It's going to be interesting to see because Gobert's going to be down in the paint. I understand that. Wynn's going to be out all over the place. But it's going to be interesting to see the contrast of styles. Can the post play, will that be important for the USA? And I thought Anthony Davis has been tremendous down in the post. But he's another guy that's got length that can play in the post, can play outside. So it's going to be interesting, Coach Pettaway.
Right. But Carlos, you think about this now. In the game the other day, Embiid was a force, but guess what it was? It was on the perimeter. He hit perimeter shots. Now, once he sits in the paint, to me, he's the best center that's left in the play. Well, it's only down to France now. But if you look at France's roster and what they've done, they're not playing Gobert that much. They're going to a smaller lineup so they can get better movement. Because when Gobert comes on the floor, watch what the USA is going to do. They're going to put him in pick and roll because he does not defend that well. He doesn't do that well. Embiid does not do pick and roll well. See, when Embiid is on the floor and you got a perimeter shooting team, they're going to just step back and take the jump shot because Embiid is too late. Well, I can't say it's too late. Embiid does not get out there. He does not get up when the pick is coming. And so they take advantage of that. So as the coaches, they're going to be looking at matchups. You might see Embiid. If Embiid can be a force in the paint, he'll be on the floor. But Embiid could be a liability on the defensive end because he does not play the pick and roll well. And when the United States has to come back and make a run, Embiid's not on the floor because they're looking for defense. And that's why Anthony Davis or Bam is out there because they can switch out. They can play the pick and roll better than Embiid. And what you're giving up that force in the paint when Embiid is not on the floor. But they're looking at defense. They're looking at quickness. And that's why they keep juggling this lineup. And, and Coach Kerr is getting a lot of flack for not playing
Tatum.
Tatum. Yeah, for not playing Tatum. I'm in agreement with him. Tatum is not. If I had a choice, I would have put Jaylen Brown on that team before Tatum. See, to me, Tatum gets lost a lot of time. No, I'm serious. He gets lost a lot of times on the floor, man. And I mean, from a basketball perspective, I just see him having too many loves on the floor. And you need energy on the floor. You need a guy that's going to finish when he goes to the basket. And he doesn't do a lot of that. Now, you think about it now. That's why you had all the controversy during the NBA Finals. Who was the better player between Brown and between Tatum? All right. Then if Tatum is so tough, why does White get on the floor ahead of him? Because he brings more to the game on the defensive side. doing other things, passing. White is a better passer. You're going to get scoring from Tatum, but you lose in some of the other areas. And I think that's part of the reason why they've made that decision on not playing him as much. And I'm with that. Mm-hmm. And that's why you got to check them egos at the door. When you accept an invitation to play on the Olympic team, that should include checking your ego at the door. You don't from 48 minutes to 40. You used to playing 38 to 40 minutes a game in the NBA. Well, you're not going to do that on an Olympic team. And that's why every player is not a fit, Carlos. It's not a good fit.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I have a feeling, the way these scripts get written, Carlos and Coach Pettaway and Wheeler Brown, I have a feeling that when the rubber meets the road in this game today, somehow Jason Tatum's going to have his fingerprints on this game. For all the talk of him not seeing minutes and seeing time, you know how the script goes. Jason Tatum's going to see some minutes, and Jason Tatum's going to hit a few big shots. Yep. And then everything's going to be okay now. But he has not played. But I mean, that's just the way, people criticize Jason Tatum in the finals. But then in the big game, he stepped up and wow, it's all good. So It's the same thing. I think Jason Tatum will make some big shots in this gold medal game, and then everybody's going to be okay. It's all good now. Well, no, it hasn't been. But in these big moments, you know how the script gets written. Jason Tatum's going to find a way to have his fingerprints all over this game today. Just my opinion.
Right. Willa, I understand what everybody's saying, but at the end of the day, I want a gold medal. Yeah. I don't care what way they get it,
right?
How they get it. Nobody plays minutes. Some play 10. As Coach Pettaway said, this is the Olympic Games. So the goal is to get it done. Now, go ahead.
Coach Pettaway made a great point. We've gotten to the point now where you have to recruit role players. Mm-hmm. And what kind of mess is that? Come on now. A few years back, you just wanted the best players that were out there. And, you counted on them to put their egos aside and, gel and do the things necessary in order to bring back the goal. But now you have to go out and actually recruit role players. Yeah. You got to go out and wonder, or look and see whether or not this guy can play with this guy or that guy can play with that guy, that sort of thing. I mean, how low have we sunk, from a mental point of view?
Well, I personally like the Whites. Who else? Holiday.
Oh yeah.
The guys that don't get the credit, but they are really a integral part of that team. And so you're always going to have those type of guys. You have the elites, you have the stars, and then you have the others. And I think they've done a great job, and particularly Anthony Davis in some of the games. And look, they had to come from behind against Serbia, right? They had played them a couple of times previously.
Yep, beat them pretty good.
Started off and play. So now they're in the middle part of the competition. They know each other. They know the teams know each other. So it comes down to a matter of execution and who gets it done. Now, Kurt, you said it's taking some flack. And by the way, Emmett Jones says the Europeans play more physical defense. I don't know, but I have to think about that one.
Now it's more physical in the Olympics now. They swallowing them whistles now. It's a lot of physicality out there away from the ball and then even on the ball. So that's an adjustment that our NBA players have to make because they're used to getting that call. They're not doing that now. They're not blowing the whistle. You stand around waiting on the whistle, that ball gone. So you have to do that.
I guess Coach Pettaway, I'm just not a fan of that style,
right?
Of basketball on the defensive end. Offensive, I know they movement, a lot of screen pick and rolls, but to me, it's more. I don't know, and I know people are going to disagree with this. It's more finesse. I know it's a different style, and so the NBA has to get used to the international style of play. Is that the term?
Right. Yes.
But
Yes.
but in spite of all of that, they pretty much won the top medal.
Right.
You know, they really have. But I guess I'm just not a fan of. Well, maybe I should say a fan, but I'm trying to get accustomed to this European style because I'm from the old school in the way, the 80s and 90s in the NBA, and I know that's gone. But if you could put people in the time frame, Michael Jordan said he could probably average 50, 60 points a game because it was a more physical brand of basketball. It was a no layup rule.
Right.
Now the European influence. I'm not gonna put a thumbs down on it, but it's got to grow on me, and it's been 10 years now. Wheeler, I don't know. I just kind of like the old school, but I guess you have to adapt.
Sure will, that's for sure. I'll put thumbs down on it. It's just not.
Yeah,
It's not the game that I grew up with in the 60s and 70s, that sort of thing, where pretty much a bloodbath every night.
Right.
You had to bring it, but the guys had the utmost respect for each other, that sort of thing. And, you saw a few fights every now and then, but, you knew what time it was when you stepped there on the floor. So I long for those days, Carlos, and I'm probably in the minority. The days probably not coming back, but, it don't keep me from wishing either way it goes.
Yeah. Charles Edmond, I could see. You can see me on the bench. I'm whispering to Charles Oakley. You know what? You know what to go in there. And you know what to do.
No, you know what time it
is. Yeah. He's gonna come off the screen and he's gonna roll to that basket. Take care of it.
Yeah.
Take care. And that's just one of many that I could just whisper on look and say, look at Carlos on the bench. He's whispering. You know what he's talking about. Get in there and take care of business. But again, those days are gone.
Yeah, that's the enforcer mentality, man. And you got to have that. But now, Carlos, one of the other things that I'm a little disappointed in, real quick, switching from basketball, and our track. Our men's track is not. I was real disappointed that once again on the 4x100, we couldn't even get the baton out of the first stage. We messed it up on the first exchange, and they're saying that we got to redo our thinking and the way we do our track athletes when it comes to the relays. So that's got to be revisited.
Coach Pettaway, I think it goes back to practice once again. Those skills like that, that 4x1, that sort of thing. I mean, you got to practice those exchanges, those baton handoffs, that sort of thing. I wonder if we really, really spent enough time with that overall. So I mean, I don't know. I have to go back to the practice field, to the practice court. I mean, are we working on the intricacies that are necessary in order to be able to hand that off like clockwork?
Right. They say it's been 20-something years since the men medal.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't make sense to me at all. Are we just relying on our speed to compensate for, any errors or any mistakes we may make, during the handoffs?
Well, somebody maybe in the chat room is a track and field coach. Maybe can help me out on this. Coach Pettaway, I know you can practice things. You go over and practice, and then it's the event. You have a slip up. I've kind of looked at the 200 meter, 400 meter, 800 meter, and 800 meter. Talking to some track experts, analysts. That's a tough race.
Oh yeah.
That's literally 8 laps in outdoor track and field. Not 8 laps. It's 2 laps. 2 laps, excuse me.
Yeah, for the
2
800.
laps
Yeah.
and 800, and you basically have to run at the same tempo and speed. And some people say that's one of the toughest, if not the toughest, race to run.
And our best female didn't even make it out of the trials. She got tripped up. Mew, she was defending champion, and she never made it out of she never made the U.S. team because she got tripped up. But overall, we got a lot of great athletes out there. We just technically sometimes they don't have enough time. We've already talked about basketball. Maybe the same thing is happening in track. But here at A&M, we had one of the best track coaches in the nation, Joe Henderson. He won like 20 conference championships. He won 2 national championships. He's coached about 3 or 4 Olympians. And to watch him, in fact, he helped me with my players, basketball players. He would tell me things because I was only seeing things one way. To me, I would set certain times, and if you didn't make them, then I didn't think you were putting out. He came to me one day because I had this big kid, this 6'11" kid, and he said, "Van, you got to get this kid more patient. You don't put him on time." He said, if you get a kid a task and he finish it, he said, be happy with it. And him telling me that, and then me understanding that was one of the biggest. That was one of the biggest changes in my coach's career. Listening to other people that had nothing to do with basketball, but how I was applying stuff. Because I was being analytic back then. This is what I want you to do. My guards had to run this fast. The forwards had to run this fast. The centers had to run that fast. But he showed me something different. He showed me a different way. He said, you'll get better results. That was one of the best decisions I made because that kid ended up being an all-conference performer for me because I put my little ego to the side and the things that I wanted done for the betterment of the team. And then I think sometimes when we as coaches, we have to put our egos aside. And that's what part of the thing that they're trying to say about Steve Kerr. He hadn't put his ego aside when it comes to some of those players on the team. But in all of our sports, no matter what sports is out there, like the lady that's doing the women's soccer right now, she's new. She's only been on the job for 10 games. And then for her first 10 games, she's 10-0, and she's only given up, her team has only given up 2 goals in 10 games. And so now women, that's why women are playing right now for the gold medal. And when we started the show, I think it was still 0-0 at halftime. So I don't know
They're leading 1-0.
Who?
USA.
Oh, good. That means that the Trinity Express, the Espresso, they were in tune. You're talking about Swanson, Rodman, and Smith. Those are the that's the trio that's been leading our Olympic team, our soccer team. And then I thought we had a good showing in volleyball. Our water polo team, they didn't make the championship game, but they did well for us. So there have been a lot of teams that have represented our country well. And overall, I'm pleased with the results we're getting overall.
On that note, we'll take a quick time out, but I'll challenge you. Hey, I also watch ping pong.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
I love it.
Yeah, they can play.
Yes.
And quickly, I was in Jamaica trying to play ping pong, and, I'm just not good at it. And I lost to my significant other and the other party crew that was there with us. So I was 0-4, but I respect the heck out of it in that little space. Yeah. And then will we see? The tennis purists will not like this. You can see what kind of mood I'm in today. Pickleball. Will that make a appearance in the Olympics or flag football? I guess
flag. Yep, flag wheel. Flag wheel.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Flag wheel.
Well, on that note, we'll take a time out. Pickleball to the Olympics. We'll see. You're watching the Coach Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. We shall return.
Live from Atlanta, Georgia, the HBCU football capital hosts the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge on August 24th. Defending HBCU national champion Florida A&M Rattlers versus the Norfolk State Spartans. For more information, visit MEACSWACChallenge.com.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
Hey, grab me one too.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft. Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Don't forget, like, share, hit the notification button. And also, we were still talking about in the previous show last week about voting on Black College Sports Network Game Time, where you would like to see the program at some of the football games in Black College football this year. So you can still add your input to that as well. I'm going to introduce now, and it's been a while, I got a chance to see him in Birmingham at SWAC Football Media Day. Jim Kleinpeter, a contributing writer for The Advocate. He covers Southern University football, so we'll add him to the panel right now. And there he goes. Jim, good morning to you. How you doing?
Good morning, Carlos. Good morning to all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, Jim, now you're a busy camper. I know. Got a chance to just briefly chat with you at SWAC Football Media Day. Southern University football fall camp has started. Limited access for as far as the press and the media, but today they're going to scrimmage. And biggest question still from the outside looking in: quarterback race, offensive line, how are they gelling? But just kind of your thoughts from what you've seen so far with the fall camp under first-year coach Graves.
Yeah, that's what everybody wants to know. Who the quarterback's going to be. I think the biggest question mark is the offensive line, though, because it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. If you don't get the offensive line straight, nothing's going to work right. The running backs, the wide receivers, the tight ends, none of them are going to be able to function. And I don't think the quarterback situation is dire. I think you got a guy they could definitely live with, Noah Bodden, and who I think will ultimately be the starter. I don't know that he has, quite the natural talent that T-Set has, and maybe even Jalen Woods, but he's going to have an edge in experience and probably in poise. So I wouldn't be surprised if he wins the job and maybe loses it later in the season. And this is just my opinion, but it's all going to really depend on the offensive line. They got two guys back that saw significant playing time, or actually didn't. Cameron Foster really was going to start last year and broke his wrist right before the season and ended up only starting like a couple of games at the end. But him and Josh Trask, and then they've got like 20 offensive linemen in camp, so they've got quite a call to work through.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. And back to the quarterback, just kind of reading the comments, what you're reporting, and seeing Coach Graves talking to the media. All four quarterbacks will get equal reps with the number ones and number twos. Now, some people have already questioned me, because I think they know who's going to be starting quarterback, but I just have to go face value what Coach Graves have said. It's an open competition, and it'll probably come down to maybe after the second scrimmage, which will be next Saturday, and then they start school on the 19th. What do you think about that, Jim?
Well, coaches can't say that. They probably think a certain player is going to win it, but they want to give the other guys a chance. And I don't think all four of them are getting equal snaps. I think Angelo Izzard is a newcomer, and you don't want to invest too many snaps in him. You want to make sure the guys that are actually in the running for this get them. So he'll get some, but he won't get an equal share. I don't think. He's a little bit too new. So yeah, I mean, a coach he does not want to be quoted as saying we know who the starter is going to be. In fact, he won't let us talk to the quarterbacks until after next Saturday, which is the second scrimmage. So the quarterbacks are off limits to us. So that tells you right there that he's playing this one really close to the vest. And I think he really wants to get the most out of the young guys. And he doesn't want Noah Bodden thinking that he's got the job in his back pocket. So and it motivates both. It motivates all three of them to truly grasp that they have a chance to win the job. And he's got to keep that feeling. He's got to keep them, because he wants them to be better tomorrow than they were today, and then better after tomorrow than they were tomorrow. So that's the way coaches do it. And Coach Graves he's cagey. He's been around a long time. He's probably seen, every different possible kind of quarterback battle, and knows and has a handle on what to do and what not to do when doling out the reps.
From a defensive standpoint, I guess one could say the stronger unit. Coming back, they've had to replace some people on the back end and the secondary. But Coach Miller says plenty of depth, more depth than they had last year. But then they kind of lost some pieces in the secondary. So defensively, you would say is the strong point.
Yeah, and in fact, I'm going to predict this right now. I think this team is going to struggle offensively early in the season, and the defense is going to carry them. And who knows if the offense gets it straightened out? But I think you're going to see some low-scoring games early in the season. But this defensive unit is going to be really good. It's going to be better than the last 2 years. Henry Miller's very excited about all the cards he's got in his hand this time. And I'm not talking about starters. I'm talking about like guys he was talking about how he can go 10 deep on his defensive line. And it's last year he was about 6 deep on it. So that's huge. He's got one of the best linebackers in the conference, and he's got guys behind him. They brought in some really talented players. They got one of the best cornerbacks in the conference, and they lost one of the best cornerbacks in the conference. But he's got bodies that he can depend on, and I'm talking about transfers that have Division I experience. So I think you're looking at a Southern team that's going to play a lot of low-scoring games early in the season, and they're going to hope that the offense can catch up to the defense a little bit. But to say that, last night I was talking to Coach Graves, and he said his offense really came out at one practice and really dominated the practice, and then his defense came out the next night and dominated the next night. And that's what he wants to see, and that's a good sign if that's what's actually happening.
Yeah, I would agree because, offense gets the ups one day. Defense comes back. How do they respond? Newcomers, Q Davis from Texas Southern, Dontrell Brown, wide receiver core. Something, I guess, to be interested to see how they perform in jail with a new offense under Coach Mark Frederick, which Jim, entitled the offense the gumbo offense, a little bit of everything. And he wants to kind of emphasize the running game a little bit more. To keep
every offensive player I talk to loves to talk about the gumbo offense, and I think it makes them hungry. But yeah, I think what they're going to do is, instead of promoting it as we're going to throw the ball offense, we're going to run it first. And I think that plays into having a strong defensive unit. And I think the same, you'll see that with this offense. I think they'll be kind of conservative early in the season until building off the running game and throwing more and more as the season goes on, because they've got to develop a chemistry between the quarterbacks, the running backs, and the wide receivers. And they keep talking about using the tight ends. Boy, I've been hearing that since Dawson Odoms was the coach. They're going to use the tight ends. But we had a couple of years in there where they actually used them a little bit more, but they didn't use them at all under Dooley. And I think you're definitely going to see that. Dupree Fuller is a guy that may break out this year because of that. Yeah, he's a guy that sometimes they line him up at wide receiver. And then they got Jermaine Minor, who is even more athletic than Fuller. So, and they're the two tight ends right now. They're going to run a lot of two tight end sets, and you anticipate run out of those, but they're going to throw out of those two tight end sets. I think they're going to catch some early season opponents, by surprise.
Yeah, the tight end, the lost art, and running backs in the passing game. We're visiting with Jim Kleinpeter, contributing writer for the Avid Cover at Southern University. Jim, a switcheroo. Well, I don't want to say switcheroo, but practices move to nighttime, 8 to 10 p.m., 10:15. How has that affected you getting out there at night? Is it better? Is it worse?
Well, it has its silver linings. I don't like being out at 3:00 in the afternoon in August in Louisiana.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have those really humid days, I'll tell you this: it's really hot at 8 o'clock at night too.
Yeah.
When it's humid, you're out there and you're still dying, even though the sun's down. But I went out there last night and it was dry. It was actually a low humidity day, and it was actually pretty nice. I wanted to stay longer. But I'm kind of glad he did that. It helps them. They're practicing in the stadium, so that turf is even hotter. When it's hot, that turf is even hotter than grass. So I'm sure the players are happy about that. Of course, that only goes through next Saturday because they're going to through all next week. They're going to continue to practice at 8, and then next Monday, a week from Monday, the classes start. They'll get that day off, and then the day before that, so they have a 2-day break, and then they go to the 3 o'clock practices going into the season. So, and I think that's good. It's good to let your team be able to work and build up, and they'll be in shape by the time they start having to practice at 3 o'clock, and they're going to be real careful with it. They water them down real good. They make sure everybody drinks a lot of fluids before practice, to hydrate. And so I think it's a good move. Not a lot of schools can do that. If you got to have lights to be able to do that in your stadium. So it's a good move by Coach Graves, who again, he's seen it all. So he probably knows what to do and can make the right move.
Jim, have you had any interaction with some of the new coaching staff members? And I'm just interested with Coach McNair on the staff now. He really does. Again, I have to get it in my mindset that he's at Southern University, but man, the few times I've seen him, he seems to be enjoying himself and at Southern University.
Well, I tell you this, the tight ends love him. They absolutely love him. I talked to a couple of the tight ends last night. We asked him about Coach. Oh man, we love Coach McNair, and I tease him a little bit, and I said, well, you better enjoy him while you got him, because I don't know if he's going to be there next year. This is a guy that's he's overqualified for the job he's doing. But I talked to Coach McNair a couple of times, and he's real happy. He's a happy-go-lucky guy. He knows. I think he understands the patience of. You go to Southern, you learn a little bit, and these guys all know each other. I think these coaches, they have a coaches meeting, a half-hour coaches meeting, and they talk about football and the team for 10 minutes, and they spend the rest of the 20 minutes just goofing off and talking about, remember back, the game from 95 when this happened, and they tease each other. Willie Totten's in the room, and Everett Todd's around, and so they got all these guys that have worked together and worked against each other, and so I really think Fred McNair likes it's like being with a bunch of old friends, while you're waiting out a shot at your next head coaching job.
It's kind of like the panel here, Charles, Coach Pettaway, and Willa Brown. What you see on the camera and then off the camera, and if we ever be in one place together, it's always magnificent. Special teams, Jim, it's never a lot of talk about that, but Coach Todd over special teams, have you seen any of participation, or how much they practice on special teams?
Yeah, they're putting a lot into it. Coach Graves is a former special teams coordinator. He's real big on it. In fact, he told me last night that they got one of the best kickers in the conference in Josh Griffin, and the kid from Vicksburg. And Coach Graves was telling me, he said, he is good. He's got a talented leg, but we've got to get him more consistent. He says, I'm harder on him than anybody. And Coach Graves was a kicker in his younger days, I think in high school. And he's a left-footed kicker, and so is Griffin. And so he has that in common with him, and he's been using that as an end to try to encourage him to concentrate. And he's reminding him, you got this lightning leg. you've got to be consistent with it. It doesn't matter if you can kick a 54-yard field goal to help your team win a game. If you miss an extra point, and I think Griffin missed like 3 or 4 extra points last year, and that there's no excuse for that when you got a leg like that, because it's a matter of concentration and staying focused and getting a good snap. And they got one of the best deep snappers too in Braxton Blackwell. And that's an underrated thing because, there's nothing the kicker can do if it's an errant snap or a bad hold. So I don't know. I think special teams will be better. They lost Thunderfoot there, the punter, and they went back to Alcorn State to get their new punter, Kenny Pham.
Charles, calm down, Charles.
Hey, they hit Vicksburg and then went on the reservation.
I tell you what, I didn't want to say Alcorn State was their farm club, but yeah, So Kenny Pham's probably going to be the punter, but they got a young guy. Kenny Pham's been hurt last couple of practices. He's been out, but they got another kid. I can't call his name right now, but I think their special teams will be good. And having more bodies on defense makes your special teams better because all those guys that are second teamers are going to be on those coverage teams. And so I think we'll see a lot of maybe some improvement there too.
Well,
Charles, I'm sorry, man.
Oh, the expression on his face was priceless.
Well, you talk about a nightmare. My gosh, here we go.
Well, and Charles,
I was talking to the Alcorn coach. He and Graves are friends, so maybe not as much as they were before Pham left, but it's all in good fun with them.
Well, I'd like to ask you, Jim, about Coach Graves quickly. How has he handled, being the guy? I mean, winning the Bayou Classic and having to put things together, bringing in Coach McNair and putting his system in place, putting his stamp on the program. Coach Thomas doing that here. How is Coach Graves handling that?
He seems to have the right countenance or the right the vibe with him is he smiles all the time, and I think he's just like that, and having all that experience, I think he understands at this point. And he even talked about. I keep asking, well, how frustrated were you coming up all those years and not being able to get? And he said, look, I never said I was never going to take a job just to be a head coach. And he said that's something that he learned early on. And he had opportunities to go to places where maybe the commitment wasn't there and he didn't want to just be the head coach. I think he had an offer from Valley when he was there to be the head coach. And he was waiting for the right moment, the right time. And it just took a little bit longer than it did for most people. And this is a guy that, he was at Southern and interrupted his career at Southern to go home and take care of his mother when he became the DC at Norfolk State in 2003. Yep. And he left a team that eventually won the Black National Championship that year. So this is a guy that I think he has a handle on how he wanted to handle his career. He was he's really smart, and from talking to people that knew him coming up, it's just a guy that has a good grip on what he wants, and he's not willing to settle for less.
Yeah,
I think he's going to do well. And he doesn't have an ego. I mean, he's got 3 former head coaches on his staff. So, he doesn't worry about looking over his shoulder, somebody trying to stab him in the back or anything. These guys all know each other. They've worked together, worked against each other. And so that says a lot that he brings in guys that can help. They spend a lot of time talking, and there's so much, there's so much institutional knowledge on that staff that it's going to be a well-coached team, I believe.
Yeah, it's good you can be able to bounce off ideas, and with 3 former head coaches on your staff, You're absolutely right. Jim, last thing, a kind of a controlled scrimmage tonight. What does the staff look to accomplish besides no one getting hurt in this scrimmage? What are some of the things that they're going to be looking at, in your opinion?
Well, I think they have a good idea of the guys that are returning, the players they had in the spring, and I think they're going to give a lot of reps to guys that come in the summer, that came in at the beginning of the summer, and they're still, Quay Davis didn't show up until I think earlier this week. His first practice was like Monday or Tuesday of this week. And I think that's a guy that's gonna see a lot of time, but they want to see him, in a game situation. They've seen him in practice, and they want to see him, see what he does, how much of the offense he's digested. So especially that offensive line, because they barely had enough offensive linemen to have a spring practice. I mean, they had walk-ons, and after the first 5, all they had was a bunch of walk-ons, and they were just bodies. They were camp bodies. And they've brought in a ton now, and they were working. It looked to me like in practice this week, they were working with about 13 offensive linemen. They got 20 all told on the team right now. But that's a lot of, you're trying to get those guys to get used to each other, not just impress the coaches, but they've got to learn how to create chemistry in that 5-man unit. So they're going to be looking very closely at that. The running backs are solid. They got their top 3 or 4 running backs back from last year. They've got the top 3 receivers, and they want to see some. They're going to want to see some receivers, and they're going to want to see the safeties. And they got to figure out who's going to play that other cornerback opposite Rodney Johnson. So I think, despite him saying every position's getting scrutinized, I think those are the places that they're looking to see who can play.
On that note, I often talk about who's going to be the number 2s, in camp, because they become important, whether it's an injury or they progress enough that they look for some playing time. And I know defensively, Coach Miller likes to play a lot of people first quarter and the fourth quarters. Those starters, they want to be fresh in the fourth quarter. So with that being said, Jim, I'll contact you for next Saturday and kind of get us ready for the next major scrimmage and the scrimmage tonight. Some of your feedback on that. So we'll appreciate
that next scrimmage is going to be a big one. I mean, it's going to be close to 100 plays probably. So we shouldn't. And I think they've let us know that they're going to name a quarterback. They're going to probably decide who the starter is after that next scrimmage next Saturday.
Going to be very interesting. Can't wait to see. Thanks a lot for the time, Jim.
My pleasure, Carlos. Good to see all you guys. All right.
All right,
Jim. Thank you. All right. That was Jim Kleinpeter. Charles, that was priceless. You okay?
No, I'm not okay. I'm not okay.
Come on. What can Brown do for you? Come on.
Charles, how you let him in Vicksburg? You let him in Vicksburg, then they come on the reservation. Come on, Charles.
No, sir. We just cannot. We can't keep losing kickers to the Jaguar Nation. That just it keeps happening time and time again. And then every now and again, Coach Pettaway and Wheeler Brown, it keeps cropping up. It comes up on this show, and then I have to I have to suck it up and take it because it's true. It happens. So hey,
can't hide, Charles. You can't run. You can't hide.
You can't run, you can't hide. Hey, you got it. Like somebody says, it is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't. So, hey.
and you know what, Charles? In spite of all that, I think the Braves will be fired up coming to Southern for Southern's homecoming. And Wheeler, you can't go but up. I know I've gotten questions, concerns about that O-line. And I understand the point of chemistry and meshing together, but there's no way to go but up. If from the spring, now you got 20. It looks like they're working with 13, so it's 5, second unit plus 3. Hey, that's going to be a component.
Got to find that top 8 or 9, and You know, you got to go on and concentrate on that top 8 or 9 and just go on and grind it on out. Yeah, but it takes a while, and reps are priceless. You gotta get those reps in, and you gotta get used to playing with the guy next to you, that sort of thing. It's a lot more chemistry involved than a lot of people would think. When you playing up front. I mean, those 5 guys got to be in unison. They got to be able to move as one. And, they got to have each other's back the whole 9 yards. And, sometimes, if you got 18, 19, 20 linemen, pretty much you're not going to play that many during the course of a game.
Right.
Find that solid 7 or 8 guys that that can play across the board, and you just go on out there and get after it. That's the bottom line.
Well, Charles, go ahead, and then we'll take a timeout. We're overdue.
Yeah, we just had our second scrimmage. We just finished that, and so what Jim was talking about with the first scrimmage tonight, we just had our second scrimmage today. We're going to have another one next Saturday, and then a dress rehearsal the Thursday. 7 days before our game with UAB. But this scrimmage today was really big in terms of just kind of getting our numbers right. They went with the 1s, 2s, and 3s. I think after this scrimmage, you're going to see kind of what we're looking at, and maybe the scrimmage next Saturday. So, look, with time, fastly approaching to the season opener, 2 scrimmages, and you kind of have an idea of what you're looking at. So for us, we've already gone through 2. You got 1 more, and then a dress rehearsal, and then you're ready to kick it off. So there's not a lot of time. Southern started a little late because their season started a little late. We're starting early, so we started early. So we're kind of rounding this thing out. And I think for teams right now, after the first couple of scrimmages, you'll have an idea in terms of what we're looking at. We got a lot of bodies out there, and there won't be a lot of bodies that are going to be getting on that bus going to Birmingham. So the competition is pretty fierce here.
Yeah.
And pretty soon you got to settle in terms of who's going to be what, when, and where. You can't go into the last week of practice not knowing who the quarterback is going to be, and all that, who's going to be the starting running back, all that sort of thing. You got to go on and make those decisions, and we got to go on and get busy. Because they're the guys that need to get the bulk of the reps. And you got to work that chemistry, that sort of thing. So you can't go up to the last minute not knowing who's going to be where and who's going to be what. And, if somebody's feelings is hurt in the meantime, it just is what it is. But it's time to stop rolling the dice, and settle on the task at hand. These are the guys that we're going to go with, win, lose, or draw, and let's put it out there and see where we are and go with it.
This is one of the deepest teams we've had, Carlos. I mean, today at scrimmage, Coach Thomas is saying 1's up, 2's up, 3's up. I mean, so, and they're recording every rep. And so when it comes time to this evaluation process, it's not going to be like I wasn't given an opportunity. When you got 3 deep, everybody's getting an opportunity, and you're being graded and evaluated. So this is one of the deepest teams that I've, at least right now, that I've seen since I've been here. I mean, you're talking about 19 offensive linemen that we've got. We probably have 8 or 9, 10 wide receivers, 5 quarterbacks. I mean, you're not going to go with 5 quarterbacks, but this is one of the deepest teams that we've had. So it's going to be a serious and realistic evaluation process for Cedric Thomas in his first year.
And they're going to need every bit of it, because I still glance back to those first 2 weeks playing up. That's going to be awfully tough. Alabama A&M at Auburn.
Yep.
That's going to be tough.
Yeah. We tonight at 6.
Yeah, I kind of, I know it is what it is. Playing those first 2, that's going to be so tough. And for Southern, they're playing an FCS member in McNeese, which they hadn't had success. So, in a way, I don't think it's any pressure on Alabama A&M or Alcorn. Particularly Alabama A&M week 1. It is what it is. Alabama, Birmingham, and then Vanderbilt.
What you don't want kids to get hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing you don't want. So if things get out of hand early, you go to the bench early and you get the rest of those kids in. You get your starters up out of there and, lick your wounds and get ready for the next week. Everybody gets an opportunity to, go against that top-notch competition, that sort of thing. And, it just is what it is on that one. You're in a bad way all the way around. You got to have that check. You got to go get that money. And, it just is what it is on that one. You just hope you come out of there with as few injuries as possible. Your kids come out in a great frame of mind from a mental point of view, and they get ready to take on the rest of the season.
AD Willa Brown, you said that so wonderful. Get that check. But I'm glad AD Willa Brown wouldn't have back-to-back playing up. I think Willa Brown spreads it out a little bit. But I guess it's better to play him early than late.
Yeah, you definitely got to play him early. There's no doubt about that. You don't want those kind of games as you in the week 4 and week 5, that sort of thing. You see your conference schedule and you can't chance it then. For all the money in the world, you can't chance it then. Not if you got title aspirations in terms of winning your conference and trying to get to the Celebration Bowl and all the stuff that go along with that. So the deeper you get into the season, the goals change. You got other things that you're working towards at that particular time. So you get that money game out of the way early. Like I said, you hope your injuries are few and your kids are able to recover mentally and physically, and you try to keep it moving.
On that note, we'll take a timeout, and when we come back, I'm gonna dig into an article by Clarin Ledger. I guess I didn't realize Jackson State home record over the past few years is not up to par. I'll go from the article, and if it's wrong, we'll blame it on the producer of that article. But we'll look a little bit at Jackson State, and they have a tremendous home schedule for 2024. And also, there was something else I wanted to talk about. What was it? AD Drew wants to hear from AD Willa Brown and Coach Pettaway. I think we went over it a little bit last week, but the 1-year contract for the FAMU basketball coach. But we give them what they want.
Carlos Brown contract, I guess.
Wait a minute. That's slander, Willard. That's slander. I get a bad rep. That's not me. No. And we'll give it an Olympic update. We might throw bring up some footage on the track and field. You're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. We shall return.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him. Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Atlanta, Georgia. The HBCU football capital hosts the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge on August 24th. Florida A&M Rattlers, Norfolk State Spartans. SWAC versus MEAC. The rivalry is real. Come out to Center Park Stadium to see the returning HBCU national champions and 2 of the best HBCU bands in the land, the Marching 100 and the Spartan Legion. The day starts with a kickoff fan experience tailgate and concludes with a primetime matchup on ABC. For more information, visit MEACSWACChallenge.com.
That is a good piece. That's a good piece. Uh-oh. There we go. We're back, Will. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. I love that commercial. Charles, your good friend, Dawson Odoms, leading Norfolk State against FAMU. That should be a barn burner. And then 2025, Southern University and North Carolina Central. I think John Grant was trying to push up a little controversy there. No, he wasn't. That's going to be a tough one. Clarin Ledger, article by J.T. Keith, why Jackson State football home schedule is critical to its SWAC goals in 2024. Just a few pieces of it. And he says in the past 10 years, Jackson State football has not played well at home outside of the Deion Sanders season, 2020 to 2022. He says, in fact, JSU hasn't had a winning home record in any of those other 7 seasons. That is one of the things Tiger football coach T.C. Taylor said at SWAC Media Day last month, that his team must improve in 2024. And Coach Taylor, and I quote, the emphasis is playing better at home. I thought we were solid on the road, but we need to be better in front of our home fans, quote, end quote. 11-25 since 2014 at Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium. Now, they have gotten the best of my alma mater, Southern University, but we think that's going to change in 2024. That's a big game coming in Jackson. But, wow, I guess I didn't know that. Very interesting. You got to take care of home first, Wheeler.
Well, there's no doubt about that, Carlos. I mean, and you know, it's hard to see, you know, exactly why that's the case. I mean, you would think that, you know, you got a great environment, you got great fans, and, you know, the whole 9 yards with that. It's just the way the dice been rolling. I would imagine. I mean, but the schedule is what the schedule is, and you got to find a way to to get it done. It's probably more focused on the road, and I think a lot of schools will tell you the same thing. A lot of times you get a better performance on the road than you do at home, simply because you're away from the distractions of being at home. And the crowds that come into Jackson, that sort of thing. You can only imagine, the hoopla and everything that goes into a home game in Jackson. So, it's difficult, trying to keep all the guys together and all that sort of thing. If you don't have if you're not headed to the hotel on Friday night, and sometimes you're able to afford that, sometimes you're not. And even the hotels that you're going to, I know when I was at Jackson State, we go to that one that was right adjacent to campus, right downtown. But a lot of the alums would be there, that sort of thing. So, you kind of question, were you really getting the solitude that you were looking for? I mean, the only advantage you had was that you had all the kids together, instead of off-campus apartments and, dormitory situations and things of that nature. So, I mean, if you're not able to get out of town, and I say I'm talking about 40, maybe 50 minutes away, then are you really having the solitude that you're looking for in terms of that Friday night, keeping the kids together, that sort of thing. So, probably like I said, various reasons why it's been the way it is, but it's got to get better, and I'm sure TC knows that. I always say he kind of like on the clock a little bit, but kind of is what it is on that one all the way around.
That's interesting, Charles and Coach Pettaway. I mean, teams in the past have taken their team, especially homecoming, but home games, away from that atmosphere. With Jackson State, they lost their homecoming game against Alabama State, 24-19. Lost senior day to Alcorn State, 28-14. And also in the article, it states Jackson State still struggled against Bethune-Cookman. They edged them out 22-16, and they had to hang on to defeat Texas Southern. And boy, I'm not going to laugh at Jackson State, because Southern University, they had to kick a 50-yard field goal to beat Texas Southern. So, and then we saw Texas Southern come back and took Alcorn to the woodshed after that big victory against Southern in Lorman. So, 11-25. Wow. I just didn't know that. That's shocking. That's shocking for a home record.
Right, but look, isn't that the reason why you got Dion in there in the first place? That was the reason why he came in, because they weren't doing well at home. As a team. So I mean, as a program. So that's you want to win at home. That in order to win a championship, you got to win your home games. And like I told you in basketball, the formula was simple. You maintain your home court advantage, then you split on the road. That normally puts you in the upper echelon in basketball. But in football, you only gonna get 4 or maybe 5 home games a year. So you got to have those. You got to get them.
And and I look back in history. To me, again, I only came when Southern played in Jackson, but it was an electric atmosphere. It was a tough place to win. They had some success. So I see in the chat room, one of the guys said we kind of own Southern University, but buddy, I remember times Southern won 8 straight against Jackson State. And Charles, great friend, Coach Dawson Odoms, he had a terrific record against Jackson State. Just couldn't defeat Alcorn, but that's here or there. But Charles, it's I guess it is some pressure to win at home. It really
Absolutely. Is. I mean, it's tough to win, period. But when you're at home, especially now with these rivalry games that we have in this conference, in which the expectation is high, I didn't know what Jackson State's home record was during that span, and hey, it is what it is in terms of that. But we were a victim of that last year, Carlos. We lost a big home game to Prairie View. They kick a field goal at the Horn to beat us in one of the bigger upsets of the year, considering how well we were playing at the time. So when you're playing at home, there is pressure to win at home because your fans expect so much of you. And so I think that's going to be, a key factor. We only have 4 home games this year. We're going to have to win some big games on the road. We had a home heavy schedule last year. And so, we're going to have to go on the road, win at Southern, win at Grambling back-to-back weeks. Alabama State, it's our home game, but we're taking it to Mobile because it's a classic. That's tough. But, we got to get it done. We got Jackson at home. That's going to be good. We got UAPB at home for homecoming. But when you play at home, there's a lot of pressure. You take your team, it's just year to year with us. Some years when we have home games, we take them off campus. And Wheeler Brown knows that's a budgetary decision.
Yeah.
To take your team off campus for one night, you're talking about 1 or 2 meals, transportation in Natchez or Vicksburg, wherever we take them. There's a cost associated with that. I think what's happened here is that for homecoming, we might do it. But I think for the other games, we might lock them down in the dorm. We might do it on campus. But it's not an easy decision because it's a financial one for a lot of our teams. Just that one night in transportation, that's, $10,000, $15,000 maybe, when you're doing that. So it's financial. You would like to lock them down on campus. Most teams don't do it. Most teams take them 30, 40 minutes away. But then even the distractions with that, I stay where the team stays, and fans know where the teams are staying. And so to lock a team down to where it's just a team and that's it, team and support staff, that's probably not going to happen. And so we try that, but it's not going to happen because the word's going to get out. Fans want to stay where the team is staying because they want to be around the players and mix and mingle. And there's time for that, but then there's a time to lock them down. And I think our fans do a really good job of, keeping their distance when it's time. But, to lock it down like that probably is unrealistic. But there's a lot of decisions to be made when you're playing these home games, financially, in terms of just trying to lock your team down, keep them focused, homecoming, all the pomp and circumstance that goes with that. There's a lot of challenges there, and you got to do the best you can with it.
Coach Pettaway and Will, I'm interested to hear your take on this because I'm thinking find that money somewhere. Put that in the budget. A.D. Wheeler Brown, I'm coming to you next, but Coach Pettaway, I know at Southern University they're off campus for all the home games.
Right. Same here at Alabama A&M. Every I guess during my tenure at A&M, there were maybe 7 football coaches. They all of them were the same. The Friday night before a football game, those kids were off campus, man. I think when they go do what, 2 deep, I think that's what they were doing. They would go, they would make sure that team was off campus the night before a game. Now we never did it in basketball. We couldn't afford it. You got too many home games in basketball, so I never would afford that. But what I'm gonna tell you, what I did have, I had some team leaders that would lock the team down on their own. I've never asked them to do it, but I've had team leaders they slept in the locker room. But I was player led. It had nothing to do with the coaching staff. In fact, the first time it happened, I was mad and upset because I didn't think that taking them out of their natural habitat was going to work. But them kids turned around, man, and they beat the slop out of whoever we were playing the next day. So they did that on their own, man. And that's just, you just got to have that. And then the only time that we lock them down, like at tournaments, on the road for my for my away games, at the hotel, we make sure they put all my kids on the same floor. And that way I can keep, we as a staff, even if I had to put 2 coaches in the hall, we're going to make sure that they lock down. Now that does happen in basketball now. You'll come up on the floor and you'll see coaches sitting in chairs, 1 on each end. That's to make sure that nobody's going in the rooms where the players are. But financially, I don't know of many programs in the SWAC where the basketball team's doing that, but most of your football programs are doing that. That's normal. And I don't have an issue or a problem with that. As a basketball coach, I don't. Would I have liked money to do that? Yeah, go ahead.
You're going to spend close to $20,000, Carlos, taking a football team off campus.
Find it, Willa. Find that money.
Going to spend close to $20,000. And, so, I mean, we can always say, it's worth it and all that sort of thing. And, it's something that you want to do, but as you start counting nickels and dimes, that sort of thing, you got to try to put things in perspective. What I used to do at some of the schools I was at, including Jackson State, we'd take football off as times got a little tougher. We too deep on the depth chart as opposed to, the 63 or whatever that's going to dress that particular day. Or, because you're at home, you can dress as many as you want, so, you're not going to have 70 guys or 69 guys staying at the hotel the night before the game. You might try to go too deep, get your coaches in, all that sort of thing. But, you got to feed them those 2-3 meals, getting up early the next morning, getting them back on campus for, breakfast and pregame and all that sort of thing. So it becomes a big production at the end of the day, and so, like I said, I don't know that you can use that as an excuse in terms of why the home record is what it is. I think, you go back to the coaches, they look more on, maybe a fluke here, there, maybe a play here, there that kind of made a difference, or, something of that nature, bad season overall, that sort of thing. I mean, as Charles was saying, if you only got maybe 4 home games, if you lose 2, you at 500 right there. Yeah. So, I mean, you got to look at that also. So if you're telling me you got 7 home games and you're losing 4, or 5 out of that 6, then I'm looking at it as, what's going on here? Let's look at this, that sort of thing. But, I mean, you're getting everybody's best game and the whole 9 yards with that. You just gotta you gotta prepare. You gotta come out. Like I said, it's probably, if it's 10 losses, there's probably 10 different reasons why they didn't get it done on that particular day. But you got to find a way to get it done. The folk ain't trying to hear, that you're not playing well at home. Especially from a financial point of view, you depending on that gate to be, magnificent. Either way it goes, and if you're not winning at home, then people are not going to want to come out and see the product. So, you got a lot of things at stake, and, you got to find a way somehow to get it done. But I can see, some of the ADs not wanting to, take the kids off campus and stuff like that. You kind of feel that they should find a way to police themselves. Why they can't get it done? They're grown kids. They know what's at stake, the whole 9 yards with that. But we have to look at it like, they still kids. And if there's a party or something going on and nobody got their foot up in them, that sort of thing, kids are going to do what kids do. Hell, when I was at A&T, we snuck out the window. We were on the first floor. We sneak out the window and go up to the gym jam, that sort of thing. The night before the game, all that kind of stuff. So, if you've been involved in football, you've been there, done that. So, you know what you used to do when you were participating. So, you want to try to cut down the distractions as much as possible. So you try to find a way to get it done, if at all possible. And, after that, you roll the dice, Carlos, and see what happens.
Yeah. And see, Wheeler, now, I know you were a starter when you was in school, but if I was your coach and you got caught, you know your butt wasn't gonna play, don't you? You know that, don't you? You know, if you played for Vann Pettaway, you would not play. I don't care. You could have been my starting quarterback. You were not gonna play.
No doubt about that. No doubt. But for some reason, Coach Pettaway, when you're young and dumb and stupid like that, you don't think about the ramifications.
Yeah. You're right. I understand.
Get swept up in the current. Yeah. And, so you just jump in the water with everybody else. You don't even think about, well, what's going to happen if Coach catch me out here, that sort of thing. That's the last thing on your mind. You done told that pretty girl that you will meet her at the gym. I got to be there, because if not, then one of them basketball players going to be there. And they're going to take my spot.
Corrective action.
Well, Carlos, I want to clarify what Wheeler Brown said in terms of how we, and yes, there's some games we do stay for certain home games, but yes, what we do is that we would leave campus. Maybe we would have dinner on campus, and we would leave about 5 or 6 o'clock. And we would have snacks and all that at the hotel where we're staying. We stay overnight, and we don't take everybody. So I just want to add that, because that's we don't take the whole group. I do think we take the 1s and 2s, but we don't take the whole group. We play at 2 o'clock, and then we'll come back on campus right in time for our pregame, which is 4 hours before the game. So I see the buses when they're rolling from Natchez, where they stay, going straight to the cafeteria and eat their pregame meal. So they're not off campus very long, but I think to cut down on some of the expense, they try to do the minimal in terms of making sure that some of the key folks are on that bus, and so from an expense standpoint. So we're not taking the whole band. We're not taking 100 players for sure. But I think, just to keep the focus there, that's kind of how we do it. Now, I know Southern stays. I know they used to stay right down the road from campus. That's where they used to stay. Down there, right across the road there, but I know Southern does stay away for their home games.
Yeah, and I think it was started under Coach Richardson. He was big on that, and I remember asking Coach Kadar, former baseball coach. He said there's so many distractions when you play at home. He kind of liked being on the road. It's us against the world mentality. So I understand both schools of thought on that situation. I was just messing with AD Wheeler Brown, which I like to do. Find the money, find it some kind of way. We can cut here, we can cut there, and bring money here, because we talk about the student athlete experience, like we're talking about all 12 teams participating. Yeah. So it's about that experience. So those who can provide a even better experience, you notice how I phrase that, a better experience, it keeps them happy. We're going to take another quick timeout. When we come back, we want to address the situation with FAMU. AD wants to hear from Wheeler and Coach Pettaway.
Gotcha.
on that 1-year contract. And no, wait. Let me do this right quick. Brian Fulford. See, I love Brian Fulford. He says even the Carlos Brown contract will be better with what Coach Kira has right now. Is that a dig? Now that I think about it, I'll think about it at the timeout. Love you to death, Brian. You're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be right back.
Hey, grab me one too.
This is Brian Fulford, AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Choice Hotels is a family of brands that helps you get the most for your money so you can be any traveler you want to be. You could be a free hot breakfast hero at a comfort hotel. Yes! That's how you waffle! Mr. This Script got a plot twist at a Radisson hotel. A business big leaguer. Go for key. Even the ultimate pool float inflator. With 22 brands and the best value for your money, Choice Hotels has a stay for any you. Book direct at choicehotels.com, where travels come true. Gotta get the corners.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Okay. Yes. I'll relay the message. Okay. I gotta go. We're back. No, that wasn't Pat Riley. Significant other says, keep my name out of your mouth in that chat room. But I'm trying to think of Brian Fulford says the Carlos Brown contract is much better than the contract that FAMU gave their basketball coach, Coach Carey. But wow. I don't think I ever lived out. You know what, Charles? I think I have to get the guy who really started this contract and limit contract. His name is, you know him.
Hello.
Charles, who is it? No, not Carlos Brown. Tony Clayton.
Tony Clayton.
Yeah, he's on the back on the board of supervisors.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
You got to get him on.
Yeah. But to a serious matter, Coach Pettaway and Wheeler, Coach Carey, 1-year contract.
All right, I'll go first on this. I'm disappointed to hear this. I know Coach Carey would not have left where he was coaching if he had known he was going to get only a 1-year contract. And I guarantee you, I think a good attorney should be with him, because there's no way, if that athletic director and that president offered that man a contract and the board refused to sign it, I think they're still on the hook. I think they're still on the hook for something now. And I just think that's unfair to he and his family. Me personally, there's no way. I would have walked out. There's no way you're going to give me a 1-year contract. I'm not going to leave. I won't even come out of retirement for a 1-year contract. And I'm not even working. So let alone I already had a job to come to FAMU for a 1-year deal. I just think that's wrong. It's wrong on a lot of fronts. Number one, you're hurting the future of your basketball program because now you already setting it back when it comes to recruiting. Because now they're going to use that against him, saying, well, why are you talking about FAMU? That coach may not even be there, and he's recruiting you. So they didn't look at the total picture on this. Now, if they you keep hearing that they don't want to be on the hook for a long-term contract, well, he only had 3 years anyway. To me, that's not long because most of the time you will want to give a coach a recruiting class, and that's 4 years with an option. That's the normal basketball contract, 4 years with an option. And I just think it's wrong on all levels, man. And I feel for Coach and his family because he's the breadwinner. He's trying to provide for his family. And you can't do that, man. You can't do him that way. So I'm just disappointed in the Board of Trustees. I think they're overstepping. You got an athletic director, let her do her job. And the athletic director, they did a search. They came up with a candidate. That candidate was approved by the president. Let it go. Go ahead, Wheeler.
Well, I think that overall, the credibility of the athletic director has just been flushed down the toilet.
Right.
And there's no doubt about that at all. And it all goes back to the football coaching situation. So if we think the two aren't related, we're just kind of kidding ourselves. That rollout, for whatever reason, wasn't satisfactory to some people. And, they had to wind up doing a search pretty much from scratch and wind up spending money and all that sort of thing. But the bottom line was at the end of the day, they did not agree with her choice of football coaches, her original choice. And so I think there was some carryover from that to her choice of basketball coach. But bottom line being, she had the blessing of the president, I think, on both accords. When she was going to hire the first football coach, she had the blessing of the president in terms of putting that offer out there. And the same thing with her and with the hire of the basketball coach. She had obviously had the blessing of the president to put that offer out there. So, I mean, you have to look at right now her ability to run her department, because that's pretty much out the window. Every decision that she wants to make right now is going to be questioned. She's not going to be able to run the department adequately. And even now that the president has resigned or he's retired or what have you, you got a new president that's getting ready to come in the door. There's no telling what they're telling whoever the new president is going to be about the shape of athletics, that sort of thing. So she's going to have to be on the lookout for herself at the end of the day when a new president comes in. So it's just terrible pretty much all the way around. But I've always been a proponent of you hire an AD, you hire somebody that's competent to do the job, you give them the ammunition necessary to do the job, then you step back and get out of the way and let them do the job, and then hold them responsible for the results at the end of the day. But you can't mess with people's livelihoods. And, this man moving his family from wherever he was to, Tallahassee, he's hoping that he's got at least 3 years to prove himself and get it done. The lateness of the hire, made it so that year one, you might well not have a year one, period. You're rolling the dice pretty much on what you have, that sort of thing. And so, you're not even grading him on wins and losses from year one, but you just give the man a 1-year contract, and then you're going to grade him, on whether or not the team is successful. It's not realistic that the team is going to be successful in his year one, simply because of the time frame he was hired. As Coach Pettaway just said, how are you going to get somebody to come in and commit to you when the administration hasn't committed to the coach?
Right.
So if I'm a player, I'm looking at that. That's one of the first questions I ask. Unless I don't have anywhere else to go at all,
Right.
I'm not coming to FAMU. That's the last place I'm coming. If I come there, it's because I don't have any more offers out there on the table. So me and the coach are pretty much in the same boat. He's got 1 year, I got 1 year. So I'm using that year as a player to kind of improve my stock so I can hit the transfer portal and get up out of there. Because coach is not going to be there after that year. But coach is in a bind because he probably had already moved his family, that sort of thing. And, I think he accepted the job in February or March, somewhere around there. And here he's told in July that the contract, 3-year contract that he accepted was null and void, and he's only going to have a year. That's how you go home and explain that to the wife and kids. I mean, come on. You're messing with people's livelihoods here, and it's just a bad look for FAMU pretty much all the way around. If you don't have confidence in your athletic director in terms of her making a particular decision or making a particular choice, then you had an opportunity to rectify that back when you had the football debacle, but you kept her. You kept her on staff. You continued to empower her in terms of her doing the job. And so, you give her the opportunity to do the job. And if she proves to you that she can't get it done, or as time moves on, you're not pleased with the results, then you look to make a change, that sort of thing. But you don't cut her legs off, right there at the beginning of the process, and then try to grade her in terms of whether or not the process has been successful, that sort of thing. So not making any sense to me at all. But as Coach Pettaway said, they had a committee. She thought she did everything the right way. The committee agreed that, this person, Coach Carey, or whatever his name was the person who wanted to offer the job. The committee agreed with it. Apparently, he interviewed well enough to, convince some people that he was the coach, for FAMU. And you give the man the opportunity, you give him a shot. And, if at the end of the 3 years it doesn't work out or what have you, or he just stinks it up, the first year, bombs out during year 2, you want to make a change, then you look to go ahead and make a change. But, to interrupt the process in the middle of the process, to me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And, if I'm an AD out there somewhere and I'm looking for my next opportunity, the FAMU job is going to be one that I got to think long and hard about, before I put my rep out there, myself out there, if I'm of substance, if I'm not just a person just looking for a job, just looking for a place to hang my hat, if I got choices in the matter and FAMU is not my only choice, then I really got to think about whether or not, I want to accept that position as an athletic director. I really got to have some assurances from, the board and the other people who are making these decisions that I'm going to have complete autonomy, to get this job done, that you all have confidence in me to do the job as I see fit. I'm the one with the years of experience in this particular job. Now, I can't be the chairman of the board of trustees. I can't be the president of the university. I can't make those decisions. But when it comes to making athletic decisions, and I got 30 plus years of experience doing this, damn it, those years got to count for something. Somebody got to take a step back, Carlos, and allow me to do my job. If you want me to do my job, you got to allow me, give me the opportunity to do so, and just get out of the way and let me get it done. Then hold me accountable if it don't get done. I'm more than willing to be held accountable. That's not an issue at all. But get out of the way and allow me the opportunity to get the job done. Before you just decide in the middle of the process you don't like what it is that I'm doing.
Right.
Charles, we got about 3 minutes left now, but boy, hey, it seems I've heard this song before. As far as board of trustees, board of supervisors, we don't get involved in day-to-day operations. We allow the people to do their jobs, but behind them there's a knife coming in their back. We've seen it before. We've seen it before.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. It's an unfortunate situation. I thought, just looking at this from afar, that, okay, Coach McCullough, the previous coach, was under contract through June 30th.
Right.
So you bring in Coach Carey with a kind of a letter of appointment deal. And my assumption is, well, once Coach McCullough's contract rolls off June 30th, July 1, you got Coach Carey there, you give him a contract and you roll on. But there's obviously, to me, is it an issue with the person, which is Coach Carey, or is it an issue with the process in terms of how this is done? Now, the president has the autonomy to give a 1-year deal without board approval in that situation, and that's what they're exercising. Does that process need to go away? Because if you didn't have that, then what? How would you do it? We can agree to disagree on that process, but it's a tough situation there. And if Florida A&M does well, they make the tournament, they're taking 10 teams, and he wins, goes 7-11, does a good job in that 1 year. Do you then give him a 3-year deal? He's under contract. I'm looking at going forward now. The process, the board's got to handle that. If they clean it up or not, I don't know. But what if Coach Carey does well? Because he's gotten support. Shaka Smart and other people on social media, previous coaches have gone out there and have said, hey, Coach Carey's a really good dude, a really good coach. Support him, get behind him. They've gone on social media to promote him because they know they think he's a good coach. They know he's a good coach. So Is it the person or is it the process? That's kind of the way I'm looking at it.
Right.
Well, we got less than a minute now. I just say it's a mess. I can use all the political terms, the analysts terms. It's just a mess. Run from that situation as quick as possible. Alcorn new baseball coach will pick that up next week. Just got one question. I'm gonna be brutally honest. Will he have a pitching coach? That's the situation. He has a good resume. He'll be successful, but I'm trying to get him that pitching coach. I want to thank all of our guests, Melanie, producing today's show, in the chat room. Everybody, let the conversation continue. Remember, hit the notification button, and subscribe. Go ahead, Coach Pettaway.
We did win the gold in soccer. We did win the gold championship.
Very good. Until next Saturday at 11 a.m. for another edition of the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Until next time, peace and God bless.